You guys ever see all these guys building beautiful timber frame structures, pole barns, and post and beam? They got this big, badass saw, usually Makita, sometimes a Bigfoot, all that kind of stuff, and you think, God, if I could afford one of those saws, I could build some big shit too. Well, I may have found our solution to that. Stick with me, we're gonna review two of the cheapest, we'll call them budget-friendly, beam saws that you can get. All right, so first and foremost, we're actually gonna go with the Hoteche. I looked it up. I was thinking, oh, it's Hoteche or something because it's Chinese, but this was ordered on Amazon. Link in the description. The reviews on this bad boy were a solid 4.3 or 4.7. Trying to actually remember now. What I was really after is something that can get this job done. Okay, guys? For 150 bucks, I can't, if it builds this barn, that's all I'm really after, okay? If it lasts a lot longer and gets me into another project, great. But I started creeper stalking Marketplace looking for a beam saw, and the best damn deal that I could find on a Makita 12-inch is $700. And that's a steal. I mean, they're $1,300 new from what I found. And then I could go to, forget what the name of the company is, but the Bigfoot saw and get one there. And they're $400, and that's all before shipping nowadays. And if anybody has paid anything close to attention on the shipping side of things these days, you understand you don't want to pay shipping if you don't have to. Lo and behold, Amazon. Free shipping. So this thing comes with a spare brushes for the motor. One of the reviews, or a couple of the reviews that I saw, were saying that the brushes took a crap right out the gate and they were just garbage. You know, it's a crap saw, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll find out. The blade, actually, a pretty damn good looking blade right out the gate, but I'll probably upgrade it to a Diablo or something in the near future. Just gonna get this thing thrown together real quick, guys. And in about 2 freaking minutes, I had it put together. So it comes with some extra screws here, 4 of them to be precise. This tool will never be used for what it was actually originally designed for. And that was to be mounted on the bottom of a table saw. Yeah, and it was basically designed to be a table saw. And these screws right here are intended to go through this and screw in. So I'm gonna get out my squares here. I'm gonna get this thing the foot all dialed into the blade. Had to run out to my sawmill real quick to grab a square because, well, that's where I've been using the squares lately. And as expected, from the factory, she's a little out. Adjuster knobs over here on the side, just like most any other. Get that one snug to back up. It's gonna be pretty hard to beat right there. So here would be my first complaint about this saw right here, guys. They've got carriage bolt for an adjuster right here into a round hole. So as far as adjusting goes, she just spins and spins and spins, and you can't really get anything tight on it. So what we're gonna do here is find a bolt that matches. So at least we could be able to just throw a nut on the back. Or ask why I have a pile of shit laying around. This is exactly why. Now if you're kind of the kind of guy that says, oh, if you bought a quality one, you wouldn't have to do that. You are correct. But I didn't pay $700 for this thing, used. And I damn sure didn't pay $1,300 new. So, time for coffee. More coffee needed. It's only 6 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. My old instructor in John Deere school said if you have to use a crescent wrench, it's an F for the day. All I gotta say is F that. All right, let's go ahead and get this out in the field. I actually have a couple beams ready to cut, and you guys can watch on the barn. What we have here is a 7 by 12 chunk of beam that came off of the inner header board over there, versus a Hercules beam cutter saw and a Hoteche 12-inch circular saw. So if you notice in that slow cut, I was trying to take a small chunk out. Well, if you don't have some meat behind it, I'm noticing there's some deflection. And we'll see if you can get it in here for you. Yeah, you see that back piece there? So what's happening is, on your beam, that chainsaw will try and push itself away from it. So a guy really needs to make sure that you're about 2 inches inside the beam. If that makes sense. This is going to provide you a way better cut than this, if that makes sense. Now, if we can keep the bigger flat foot out there, it's going to do better as well. So, hope that helps. Well, that cut turned out beautiful. Or did it? Ooh. So I'm not going to waste your guys' time here with showing you guys all the specs and bullshit that is associated with a lot of product reviews. Just going to show you the actual products. What we have here is the Hercules beam cutter. Mounts to most any circular saw. Now, that being said, when I say most any, they are really designed to mount to their Hercules stuff. Worm drive or whatever the hell you call it. This one I actually had to fabricate a bracket up. This is an old ass skill saw. These are $80. Link is in the description, and a very viable beam cutting option. However, they do come with one caveat that I have found already. They're not super simple to work on. They're a pain in the ass. You have to have a syringe or something to get oil into the oiler. Chain does have a tendency to come loose relatively easily, and you have to completely dismount the damn thing to tighten the chain. So, as awesome as it is, it has its disadvantages. For $80, a guy can work around a lot of disadvantages. I'm just gonna get right to the beans here. The number one issue that I found with this is that it's a chainsaw. Chain. And if you've ever improperly sharpened a chainsaw chain and you get your cuts in your firewood that go like this because you swiped a little too much on one side versus the other, do you want that on a beam saw? Let's get these two things fired up here. I know you guys didn't get to see that cut get finished because my wonderful daughter called, and guess what? That overrides my video capabilities here. But what I wanted to show you guys was I have cut 3 7x7 cedar beams with that beam saw. The chain is already loose, needs to be retightened. I mean, it's cuttable, but the issues that I have had with that beam saw that led me to try to get the Hoteche here. You saw me scribe that. That is square on that side. And you can see how much the cut dove off to the right. Now, as with any chainsaw, you can't get close to the edge. So if I want to put my scribe line right down the edge here and only trim off, say, a 1/4 inch here and a 1/2 inch there, I can't do that with the beam cutter saw from Harbor Freight, the Hercules beam cutter saw. But this is going to be my very first attempt with the Hoteche to do that very item. Okay, I'm going to square the holy hell out of this thing so that I can make all my cuts the way that I want. We're not going to get super tied up in that just because it is rough cut, and well, rough cut. It's green pine is what this actually was, and I'm assuming it shrank and did all kinds of fun stuff while it's been sitting on the ground over there. It's still pretty heavy. I really want to flip this around. Let's do that. I don't know if you guys noticed that. That was pretty quiet and a pretty smooth cut. That is the first time that saw has ever been powered up. Cool. So had I done a way better job of squaring, you could see that would have turned into be a way better cut. The purpose of this was to see just how easily that saw cut compared to the beam saw from Harbor Freight. Now, one review that you do hear online about these bad boys is how flimsy and they called this plastic. Well, this ain't plastic, it's tin. But you can see it flop around. And I don't know if you guys heard it in that last video. It can actually hit your blade right there. So I'm going to see if there's any kind of a little adjustment or something there. If not, sometimes I'll pull a little tweak goes a long ways. That's what you get for 150 bucks. This is a 12-inch Hoteche, ordered on Amazon. I put the link below. There's no affiliate link, none of that crap, so don't feel obligated to buy through me or any of that kind of nonsense. I don't do that. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. That right there is 4.5 inches of cut depth. I'm actually going to do a bunch of cutting with this today, guys. As you can see, it's got 2 good handles here. It's simple. It appears that it's going to work really, really well. And we're going to give it the run through the money and be able to tell you 100% whether we think it's worth buying this for $150 or spending considerable amounts more, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 more than what you would anywhere else. So stay tuned for more cutting footage. All right, well, as you guys saw that, make sure you have your board properly braced. All right, guys, so as you can see, properly make sure your shit's braced so it doesn't pinch, kind of like your chainsaw. I'm gonna have Garrett bring the camera around here and you guys can see, aside from my little pinch that broke loose and me making a bad cut there, the saw itself is making great cuts. I'm gonna knock that off and I'm gonna go over and finish off that side and give you my overall opinion of this. So, learning something here. I'm gonna try and not set it down on the foot. I'm gonna flip it over all the time. What Garrett and I noticed with our first cut on this end of this log was that our foot had shifted and therefore our blade and everything, we weren't getting a great angle. But let's go ahead and, where'd my square go? Ah, Garrett's hiding it over here. Going ahead and take a look at it. You know, guys, I'm telling you right now, that is a million times better than the Hercules beam saw from Harbor Freight. Less of a mess, finer, cleaner cut. You don't have the sawdust chips of a chainsaw chain thrown everywhere. And would I put the Hoteche 12-inch, 15-amp, 4 horsepower circular saw against a actual beam saw from Makita or Bigfoot? Probably not. Matter of fact, no, I would not. There's probably no comparison. But if you're doing a small job and you're not doing this for a living, my personal opinion is this damn thing is gonna build this barn. It's gonna build my lean-to and a few other sheds just fine for a fraction of the cost. So link is in the description, guys. This is, once again, the Hoteche 12-inch circular saw bought off of Amazon. And yes, it is made in China. Posts set on top, basically for our loft. And I don't want this bigger chunk down there, so we'll see if we can wedge this bad boy into place, keep it from falling over. We're going to set it back up in. We're going to have the beautiful live edge down on the bottom.